All right, Hollywood Heath Pearce, let's go to the Bundesliga, and let's talk about Jordan Pefok. He's got 2 games with Union Berlin and 2 goals. He scored in the opening weekend of the DFB Pokal, which is the German Cup competition, and then he just scored in the Berlin Derby against Hertha in Union Berlin's big win. I believe it was 2 or 3-1. What are we saying about Jordan Pefok in terms of a real viable option? Because he started scoring goals last year consistently for young boys in Switzerland, was the Golden Boot winner, and now he's keeping that trend going for a whole new club and a whole new league. And I think that's pretty impressive. And I think it's going to be very similar to potentially Brendan Aronson. If everybody keeps it going and playing the way that they're going, you have to put him on the team because we need different options. We can't have the same. Like my big issue, and we just lost Heath because his Wi-Fi is terrible. My big issue, everybody, is that we might take a roster of strikers that all have similar traits. And I feel like we need a Jordan Pefok or a Daryl DK or a Haji Wright that's going to give us the opportunity to solve different problems. Let's say we go down against Wales or Iran or England. And they're naturally going to sit back. And if they sit back, we're going to need a different type of look, a different type of presence up top, battling with those center backs as we start to take a grip of the game because they're sitting back and there's more space for us to take advantage of. Hi, Heath. I went off on a rant on our number 9 situation, but Jordan Pefok, absolutely killing it right now. And I think if he keeps scoring goals, I mean, you have to take him.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to take him.
We've got luxury right now. And the fact that we are able to look, I don't say we have luxury. I mean, some countries have luxury.
More than we have before, I'd say, especially in certain positions on the team.
That I will agree with you. If Pefok, again, what I would agree with is that we don't want to get too caught up into what Pefok did last season and this weekend. It's a reason for excitement, but we've still got a big window of time. And
are you giving me the it's only one game, Heath? Are you giving me that?
I will say this only because
those
of the fact
vibes
that
I'm picking up from you. It's only
if
one
Jordan
game.
Pefok is playing consistently, he's going to the World Cup. Period.
Okay.
Like he's on the plane. 26 players, an attacking player like that, whether Greg likes him as a starter, which I don't think he would, or as a circumstantial player to come in, bang heads in the box, you're whipping it into the mixer, closing out 10 minutes. You got a big body there. Like he's going to be going if he's playing consistently for sure. But I do like that his game continues to grow and he continues to have to, if you go back last season, Jimmy was like, yeah, but it's a young boys and this is in the Swiss league. And it's
right.
like anybody scores in the Swiss league, that type of thing. And now going to the Bundesliga, have an opener, get a chance, you score a goal. For Union Berlin that had a fantastic season last year that many people thought were going to drop maybe back to maybe lower mid-table this year. And you come out with a result in the beginning. And so that's a situation to me where I'm like, okay, and it was in the Derby. Like that's a big game against Hertha Berlin. Like that's a big deal. And to score that and to kick off his tenure there at the Bundesliga level, I think is a great start for us as the national team of just having more and more options. Might not be the ideal player we want to play for our national team as a starter, but if we get to the World Cup and he's in the best form, then you're going to have to make do.
Yeah, you're going to have to make do, and you're going to have to make some tough choices as to who you want to go with. Now, obviously, when he's on the field, where we try to attack and how we try to attack and how we try to provide him service is going to be a little bit different than if we have a Ferreira that likes to drop in or even a Pepe that likes to drop in and combine and try to create those numerical advantages in front of the back four and then maybe find our wingers that are trying to get in behind. I think Pefok is a little bit more, let's get the ball wide and I'll get on the end of crosses. And that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with either one of those strategies. It's just you got to play to the strengths of the players that are on your team. And so that's obviously something that's going to be a big deal. And of course, from Greg Berhalter's perspective, what are you doing when we don't have the ball? I think that is important for any coach, but we know that Greg puts a big emphasis on that, especially when we're trying to trap the ball and win the ball back in certain areas. And I don't know, I think that might be the knock on Pefok more than anything else. All right, speaking of other players that played in Germany this past weekend, Ricardo Pepi subbed on in the 75th minute of Augsburg's 4-0 home loss to Freiburg. Not a good look. After he came on, they scored 3 minutes later. But they, to your point and what you said earlier, they brought on 4 other attacking players before they brought on Ricardo Pepi, which makes me get the sense that he's probably not training well. And then Joe Scally got subbed out in the 84th minute of Gladbach's 3-1 home win over Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim played a man down from the 19th minute after going up a goal and going up a goal in the 25th minute. So it was good to see Joe Scally get out there and be a vital member to start the season. So that's a big deal. Julian Green, we're going to Bundesliga 2. subbed out in the 83rd minute of Grita-Fürth's 1-1 home draw. George Bello subbed on in the 72nd minute for Arminia Bielefeld in their 2-1 loss at Hansa Rostock. And Terrence Boyd scored for Kaiserslautern in their 2-1 home win over St. Pauli. So those are kind of our names in Germany.
Yeah.
No big. Outside of Gio Reyna, who didn't end up. He was on the bench but didn't play against Bayer Leverkusen.
Jimmy, people went crazy about this Gio Reyna being shopped thing.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Well, we that was on the Que Golazo podcast. Myself and Ian Joy jumped on to kind of do the season preview for the Bundesliga, and that's what he had mentioned, that there was some outlets that were suggesting that Gio Reyna might be not surplus because he's unbelievable quality, but just might need a different a change of scenery. You look at a game like that, and he didn't come off the bench, and I just wonder, do you think there's any merit to that? Do you think they're just resting him? And why would a player be on the bench if they're not fully healthy and fit and able to contribute? Is my whole thing. Like, don't use him if you don't have to. I mean, I don't know. Where
do you think he would go at this moment?
I mean, I don't know if any of it's true. I haven't actually seen any of the outlets that have posted that.
I'm looking for it right now.
Or look for it, so I don't want to devalue if that is the case. But I'm not sure where the right situation would be. Dortmund seems like the perfect place for him to be in terms of a young player developing and the respect that he's gotten in the short amount of time that he's been there. It's just more about being healthy. And I know what it's like when you have, again, Jimmy, to tap into your career. You remember there was players with you that were just couldn't get fit, all the potential in the world, and it's almost worse when they have a ton of potential but unavailable, right? Because it just changes the dynamic in the way in which you want to play. Because a Gio Reyna on the field, he's a sure starter at Dortmund, for sure, in my book, the quality that he has. But when you always think that he's close and you're prepping for that and you don't have it, you kind of are forced to go like, well, do I take a replacement? Do I change the way that I'm going to play? And that sort of thing, that it can be hard on a manager or hard on a club to always feel like somebody is like, that their return is imminent. And the role that they plan to play. So I'm not sure what the right club would be. I'm guessing that's not the case. I just hope that he's fully fit and ready to go.
Yeah, same. I agree with you just on the health. Even if he does make a move, I feel like that's going to be unlikely. I feel like there'd be a little more smoke around that particular situation. But he didn't start. And up top, the three, Borussia Dortmund had Daniel Mahlen, Mukoko, and Adeyemi, who they just signed from RB Salzburg. And Adeyemi went out in the 23rd minute, which makes me think it was a bit of an injury because Thorgan Hazard came in, which makes me think that Edin Terzic, the manager of Borussia Dortmund, probably wasn't going to use Gio Reyna for long. He's only played 45 minutes the previous game and maybe don't want to risk him. And let's be honest, I think there was a bit of a risk here because they rushed back Gio Reyna last time and he got hurt again. So they're probably going to be overcautious to make sure that he is completely fit. And then in midfield, they had Bellingham, who's excellent. I love Jude Bellingham, Marco Reus, and Dahoud. And so when I look at the first subs or the ones that happened up top, you see that Julian Brandt came in the 68th minute for Mukoko. And I feel like that could be an area where, well, why not Gio in the 68th minute? Why Julian Brandt? So that would be my only question mark, but let's see.
I mean, there has been situations, Jimmy, where you get brought in, you get the feel again, be on the bench, kind of with the team. That's a really important factor for confidence. But at the same time, I look and go, well, like, is he fit? Then why wouldn't you want to get him? Like, what's better than being in with the team is getting 5-10 minutes. And of course, it's circumstantial. It's not as always easy, but you know how coaches have plans where it's like, I'm going to give you 10 or 15, or I'm going to get you in at this point just to get the feel again. Like that sort of stuff is part of a rehabilitation plan or a return to play plan. So I don't want to read too much into it again. We'll find out in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, this Friday, they play on ESPN Plus against Freiburg. I think that game kicks off noon my time, 3 p.m. Eastern, and that'll give us more fodder, I'd say, as to what his plans are, what Terzic's plans are in terms of playing him. If he doesn't play against Freiburg and sits on the bench again, then I'm going to get a little bit nervous. All right, let's move over to. By the way,
the thing on that I wanted to say back when we were on Ricardo Pepi is they subbed out the front 4 attackers, 2 strikers, 2 wingers, and Ricardo Pepi wasn't in that mix, and that to me was like, man. Well, where does he fit into your team then? Like, what is he?
Did you tell me once that he has a reputation for not training well? Or am I making that up?
I think it was Charlie who had said that there was a reputation for not training well, like just being focused and dialed in at training was what was coming out of perhaps Germany at the time. And so that was, maybe it was, I'm trying to think who it was actually that said that. It might have been,
I feel like somebody said that and
somebody
stuck
said
with me.
Yeah. But when you look at a situation like that, a young player that we're holding such high hopes on in terms of developing, not just for the national team for this World Cup, but just as a player that needs minutes, that was a little bit discouraging to find out. He came on. I saw him get one half chance from a side angle. As soon as he subbed on, that notification hit my box, and I watched the final.
You have your own Ricardo Pepi notification.
Yeah,
I love it.
So
he got brought in.
Pepi stand.
He got brought in at exactly the 75th minute. That feels very planned.
Yeah.
Not to say the other ones weren't, but it felt very planned that he got brought into the 75th minute. Also, it's got to hurt Augsburg that Michael Gregorich, who was on Augsburg last season, scored and had an assist because he plays for Freiburg now.
Freiburg is so good.
They're really good and really well coached.
And when Ricardo Pepi came on, it was 3-0, and within like 2 minutes, it was 4-0. Yeah, so again,
very good.
I continue to worry about the situation, Ricardo Pepi, but and also George Bello, second Bundesliga, it's a crapshoot, and if you're not starting there, it's hard, because you're going with a club that's an elevator club, and they're going to go for results, and those are situations where they're going to try to go with experience to get as many points as you can early in the season.